Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review video. Listen, I know I promised Rango today, but I'm having issues with copyright. So while I deal with that, I figured I'd start one of my favorite movie franchises, the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, in order to keep you guys entertained while I deal with that. Now, the reason this movie is one of my favorite movies of all time is because it was the last movie I saw in theaters with my grandma before she passed away. Not to mention the fact that it's just a really freaking good movie. I'll go into more details later, so before we hop into the movie, be sure to leave a like if you like and subscribe for more videos like this. We are so close to 100 subscribers. The movie begins with our narrator and main character, Hiccup, giving us a brief history of the Viking village of Berk, which is frequently attacked by dragons. Although they really don't seem to mind all that much, Hiccup then goes on to explain some of the dragons that they face, as well as the people who fight them. Most prominently, Stoic the Vast, Hiccup's father, and the chief of the village. In the thirst to prove himself to his father, and let's be real here, to look normal, he creates a mechanical device under the apprenticeship of Gobber, the village blacksmith, and the best mate ever. Like, the dude is half Build-A-Bear and half sarcasm. What more could you ask for? Hiccup uses his special device to shoot down a Night Fury, a super rare dragon. I think if I remember correctly, Toothless's personality, the Night Fury, spoiler warning by the way, is based off of the director's cat, and like the personality of the cat is like Hiccup basically. And as a fellow cat owner, I definitely see it. Anyways, Hiccup eventually, through the act of hiding behind a pillar, causes mass destruction and is sent home. The next morning, Hiccup searches for the beast and finds it tied down, but cannot bring himself to kill the creature and decides to set it free. Now, this is one of the most crucial scenes in the entire movie. You see, Hiccup, being the son of the chief, is supposed to be like the best Viking, but he can't seem to bring himself to kill the dragon because he empathizes with it. He understands it. He understands its fear, and he feels that fear. And I truly love the way that they animated Toothless's eyes and how they show the emotion with how little he talks. This scene also shows us through his act of mercy, he is given mercy in return, which is a lesson that I think everybody can learn. Moving on, before leaving with his fleet to find the dragon nest, Stoic enters Hiccup into a dragon fighting class taught by Gobber, with fellow teens named Fishlegs, Snotlout, and the twins Roughnut and Toughnut, as well as Astrid. And Hiccup has got like a pretty obvious and pretty hardcore crush on Astrid. Now, this is the first time we really see how bad Hiccup is at killing a dragon. Like, really bad. So after failing his training, Hiccup returns to the forest and finds Toothless trapped in a cove, unable to fly because Hiccup's bolus tore off half of his tail fin. Hiccup gradually befriends the dragon through a super adorable means of drawing. Ah, Picasso. I like it. And Hiccup goes and designs a new tail and fin as well as a harness due to the test flight ending up half successful. Eventually, we get to see the freaking music come through to its completeness as we watch Hiccup and Toothless learn to fly together. And I'd play it here, but as you, I'm sure, are aware, copyright is kind of the bane of the existence of channels like mine. So if you want to hear the music and with this scene, I highly recommend that you watch the movie. It is 100% worth it just to see this one scene. Now, the scene also reminds me of a saying my grandma used to tell me when she was cooking. You can read a recipe all you want, but it's your instincts that'll make food taste good. And that's really a saying that I try and live by. As, you know, my job is driving over 140 miles every day. So I guess the best way I could summarize this quote is with, sometimes your instincts are better than instructions. Anyways, through learning dragon behavior from Toothless, Hiccup is able to subdue the captive dragons during his training. eventually earning the admiration from his peers, but suspicion from Astrid. Stoic's fleet returns home in, you could say, less than ideal conditions, though he is super excited to see that Hiccup is making an unexpected success in his dragon training. Even though it's extremely misplaced excitement, it's still excitement that Hiccup's never experienced before. Hiccup is judged the winner of his training class and must kill a dragon for his final exam. He tries to run away with Toothless, but Astrid ambushes him in the forest and discovers Toothless. Hiccup and Toothless proceed to both scare the ever-living crap out of Astrid, as well as almost certainly guaranteeing that second date. But, unfortunately, Toothless is hypnotically drawn towards the dragon's nest. There, a gargantuan dragon named Red Death summons all of the smaller dragons to feed it, in order to avoid being eaten themselves. Realizing the dragons have been forced to attack Berk to survive, Astrid wishes to tell the village, but Hiccup advises her to hold on in order to protect Toothless. And surprisingly, she understands and respects his wishes. In the final exam, Hiccup faces a captive, monstrous nightmare dragon and tries to subdue it to prove that dragons can be peaceful, when Stoic, through slamming his hammer down, angers the dragon into attacking. Toothless escapes the cove to protect Hiccup, but is captured by the Vikings. Afterwards, Hiccup accidentally reveals that Toothless knows the location of the dragon's nest, and downright begs his father to leave Toothless alone, and that it's a fight that he simply cannot win. But Stoic ignores his son's warnings about the Red Death and disowns him. However, this is another one of those moments where no words are really said, but the emotion was profoundly portrayed, as we see Stoic almost immediately regret disowning Hiccup, but then harden himself and set off for the nest with Toothless chained. Hiccup is absolutely devastated, but Astrid, slyly, then not so slyly, gets him to realize the reason he spared Toothless was out of compassion, not weakness. Regaining his confidence, Hiccup shows Astrid and their friends to their newly befriended trained dragons, and they set off after Toothless. Stoic and his Vikings locate and break open the dragon's nest, awaking the Red Death, which soon overwhelms them. Hiccup, Astrid, and their friends fly the trained dragons, distracting the Red Death, and we really get to see how much Hiccup actually is very similar to his father. Even though he is completely inexperienced, he is managing to direct an extremely well thought out plan, as well as having his people do it. Hiccup attempts to free Toothless from the damaged ship. The two nearly drowned, but Stoic rescues them, reconciling with his son and telling him a line that I think I will never hear.
I'm proud to call you my son.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Toothless and Hiccup lure the Red Death into a dive before firing a fireball down its throat, killing it. In the ensuing explosion, Toothless shields Hiccup, but Hiccup loses the lower half of his left leg, and then he faints, understandably so. Awakening sometime later, Hiccup finds that Gobber fashioned him with a prosthetic, and now he's admired by the village, including Astrid, who kisses him. Berk begins a new era of humans and dragons living in harmony, and with that, we'll head into So, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is one of, if not my all-time favorite movie. And even if I set aside the nostalgia of it being, the last movie I saw with my grandma, it objectively is one of the best animated films of all time. Just from the voice acting, to the way it was animated, to the emotions and the expressions that were able to be portrayed through animation, and the freaking soundtrack. Like, oh my God, is the soundtrack so amazing. This movie means so much to me, and it has so much that I just simply cannot explain it all. I truly love, though Hiccup is like an outsider and a black sheep, if you will, he still tries to be one of his people, but when he does eventually learn that he needs to be him, his people understand that and grow with him and change with him. I love how this movie is able to show heartbreak and fear from a father who is finding themselves with a child that is different or special, and the love that they have for that child to overshadow the fear of them being different. There's so much that I love about this movie. It's simply not enough time for me to talk about. So I might as well just tell you my score for the movie, even though I'm sure you could have guessed it. It's going to get a 10 out of 10. This is still one of the best movies of all time, and I just finished rewatching it, and I am still hyped over that fight scene and the way that it was animated. There are two things from what I've heard that are the hardest to animate, and that being water and fire, and both are animated in this movie and are throughout the movie like a lot. And it is so beautiful. Like, it's so well animated. But I've gushed over this movie long enough. So tell me down below in the comments what you would rate the movie, as well as which one of the How to Train Your Dragon movies was your favorite. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.